Greetings and salutations, our fine podcast audience. We are glad you are back with us. Ed, Nathan, how you doing?
I got food in my mouth.
I'm telling you.
I
So
have
I'm
food
feeling
that I'm
pretty
about
good
to
about
put in my
myself.
mouth. I thought I would just let all of y'all experience it with me. Why don't y'all tell them what it is while I taste it?
Our great friend Michael Laidlaw has stopped by and blessed us with another vegan dish.
From the organization, the company, the fabulous.
Good food, good fuel.
And I'll just say, if you taste this, you would have to say, Chef Michael Laidlaw.
Yeah, he's a chef.
Yeah, this
Yes,
is
sir.
not just our friend. This is Chef
He is
Michael
a chef.
Laidlaw.
And you have to do that thing where you, whatever that's called. You have
Whatever that is.
You have to kiss. Is it 2 fingers and a thumb or 3 fingers?
I don't know.
We'll have to ask Chef Michael
What I-
Laidlaw. When I kiss my fingers directed towards you, how would you prefer I kiss my fingers?
So let me tell
I watch
him-
a lot of cooking shows.
Yeah.
Okay.
Not because I cook, but because I like food.
You like food.
And so I know that when you're judging food, at some point, if you really like it, you go, is that coriander in there?
Is it specifically coriander?
You say something that I don't know.
An ingredient you don't know about.
Is that salt?
Yeah.
Let me say, I'm getting hints of. I think the word is salt.
I believe I say something.
But I'll say that not with this.
No.
There is some sophisticated stuff going on. He has. I'll just go ahead and tell you. This is a vegan mac and cheese.
Yeah, Michael's a vegan
He
chef.
called it Mac and V.
Mac and V.
Mac and V.
And we all, I think, are in agreement. This is pretty dang good.
It
Yep.
may be,
Yep.
and I'll just say it may be my favorite mac and cheese.
I'm telling
I agree.
you. There's so
I'll throw
much
that
going
down.
on. And not to be like, I'm going to sound like a wine connoisseur, like you just said, but there's a lot going on in here.
Oh yeah,
There's
Full on flavor fest.
there's all kinds of flavors hitting me, and the deeper I get into it, the more I'm getting them. So
Well, and I not to mention Joel first. Joel also is eating over on the side. He said it's not as fat. It doesn't feel as
it's
heavy.
not heavy at all.
It doesn't feel heavy.
Yeah, most of the time you're eating mac and cheese, with especially this much, you're going to roll out of here. But I mean, it's very
There's a lot
light.
of flavor. There's a lot of flavor. Put a clock on my chest. Call me Flavor Flav.
Yeah,
There's a lot of flavor in this. I'm gonna say this.
I love that reference, Nathan. But very cheesy.
You would love that reference. That's right in your time slot.
It is, man. Right. Flavor Flav, right? The birth of hip hop and all that.
There you go.
That was when I was coming up as a young pup. So,
As a young hip hop artist yourself.
That's right.
oh, that was me. You can look at me. Look at me. You
was-
know I was.
Well, but Public Enemy
In
did,
the hood, that is Roopville.
Yeah. Public Enemy played that little line there though, where they did have some metal stuff going on. They did some songs
They
with
did.
Anthrax, and
They did. They
Yeah,
did.
So they
We had no idea what Fight the Power meant.
Mom, fighting you, Mom.
about it.
It turns out you were the power.
Yeah, that was.
Yeah, that-
Elvis was a hero to some, not to me, Mom.
Oh my gosh. Oh man. Okay. So back
Jason
to,
then got warmed up.
I got hot there. I had to lose
This
the
mac
hoodie.
and cheese. This mac and V.
I'm in love. So let's tell them about.
We don't want to not advertise Michael
That's right.
because he's
We
been
gotta-
so
we gotta
nice. He
promote
didn't.
Mike.
He didn't make us do it. He
No.
didn't say. We said we wanted to.
No, you just wanted to bless us with some delicious mac and V
But Michael is doing online cooking classes
on Zoom.
on Zoom through his Facebook page.
Good
And
food.
Good food, good fuel. He said if you just
Good
search
food, good fuel?
Yeah. Good food, good fuel. You search that, you should be able to find it. We're also going to put links, and
The recipe.
assuming he sends it to us, we're going to have the recipe to this yummy mac and cheese.
I'm expecting it because
You should take it to your Thanksgiving.
That's what I was gonna say. My wife and I are supposed to be providing some mac and cheese.
They're going to secretly take it to their.
I'm telling you, you don't tell anybody.
You don't
they'll never
tell-
know.
They
No, I
won't
don't think
know.
anyone would know. And then I can tell.
and
them
we
that-
know that no one in your wife's family is watching the podcast. So
No, I would be very shocked if they did. Then this would be like the first time I found out. But yeah, I think if you are if you are cooking for anybody who is has a bias against veganism or vegetarian, which I think many of us do, we naturally hear that and we go,
I hate vegetables.
I hate the only vegetable I eat is chicken. That's the closest to a vegetable I get. Red meat all the way.
Nice.
If that's where you're at, then I don't think you would know. I
Oh,
don't think
no,
you would know.
you wouldn't.
And then you would be shocked and you might have an
As
epiphany.
somebody on our staff the other day say, if you don't include the meat, everything's vegetarian.
That's true.
That's brilliant. That is so brilliant.
I think several of us said, yeah.
That'd be like the definition.
Exactly.
I guess it would be more of a revelation if you were doing like a meat lover's pizza. If you're a multiple meats.
All I want to
meal,
say is, if you don't count the meat of a meat lover's pizza, the rest might be considered vegetarian.
yes, vegetarian, not vegan,
Not vegan.
not
but
vegan.
yes.
Yeah.
Close. Okay. So there. All right. So
So you can either use this recipe or just never count any meat you eat.
I also like that Michael trusts us to be experts to talk about what vegetarian or veganism is. Like we would have any idea of what to say.
And the good news is Michael is a regular listener of the podcast.
Yes, he'll
so
correct it. Just
he
go ahead
can
and correct
correct it all in
everything we've
the comments.
He'll be in the comments.
He can
I
just
guarantee
correct
you.
it.
So that's awesome. Okay. So
And Tammy, we hear she's the
Yes.
baker. Maybe
yes.
Tammy would
Bake us something.
she's a baker. She could bake us something.
Without eggs, I heard. That's what he said today. He's going
right.
to bake something without eggs. I'm interested in that idea.
I think that should be our next thing, Michael.
Let's do it.
All right, bring it on. All right. So while we're
We've just now committed his wife
I know.
to being a part of this.
okay. So
But
while
she
we're-
probably doesn't listen, and she'll just say no.
Exactly.
She'll feel fine saying no.
So this brings up a discussion that I was going to have. I did not know we were going to be eating, but I was thinking, this is Thanksgiving coming up next week. What are your favorite Thanksgiving foods, and what are the ones you hate? Because we're about to go and probably encounter these next week.
All right, so I'm going to say what my favorite is, and this is a recent favorite. Nathan's brother, John, has a Brussels sprouts.
It's weird that you refer to your son as my brother. It's just weird.
I'm gonna
It's a
disown him right
weird
here.
Way to do that.
John, Nathan's brother, and my son.
It's just a weird way to introduce somebody.
It was. I don't know why I said it that way.
I understood it. If
I
he
could
was-
have said it this way. You know the guy in the office next to Jason, John?
I guess you could have. The only reason you might is if he was royalty or like the president, and you might say, the president of the United States, also my son.
Anyway, he makes a Brussels sprouts thing that I only get at Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
I love Brussels sprouts anyway, but his is exceptional.
Is it a casserole or
No.
They do something with,
Yeah.
I don't know what it is.
You're trusting the two wrong
I
people.
take it it's
Bill.
more than
I see
just
it
Brussels
on the
sprouts.
I see it. I eat it.
I'm saying it's more than just Brussels sprouts.
It's Brussels sprouts, and then they kind of they season it. I think there might be even like
I want to say bacon.
I was gonna say bacon,
In
too.
my mind, I want to say bacon is with it.
Well, there you go.
it's hard. You're asking the two wrong people to be able to give you any kind of.
Whatever I say, and you all both know John very well, know I can't say anything
say it right.
No,
beyond
you're not
this.
gonna. You're
Other
not
than
gonna
that.
get the ingredients.
Other than that, it was good.
There
it
you
was
go.
good.
All right.
I could say whatever I want because
He also is not
another
watching
non-listener.
He's not watching this. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff I will say that both John and his wife Sarah make that are absolutely delicious, and probably I very much look forward to.
They feed our family.
Yeah, but none of the stuff they do is what I would even call very traditional. They make a sweet potato casserole, which is really good, but they're both very creative in the way that they cook, so they don't cook what I would consider mostly very traditional things. If I had to say traditional, I probably would say like a sweet potato casserole. I love sweet potato casserole.
I do too.
And you don't really get it any other time of the year, and so I'm excited. Everything else that I don't get the rest of the year, I go, I understand why I'm not eating this the rest of the year. This all turkey, by and large, I understand. I would even go this. I know most people are. Ham is that way for me.
Really? I'm a ham guy. I love some
like
ham.
ham.
Oh, me too.
But
Love ham.
I would, if you had pork chops, ham, bacon together, ham's the last of those.
Oh, not for me. Honey baked ham or any of that. Spiral cut, even is not. I'll just slice it off. I love baked ham.
Yep.
I'm not a ham guy, so none of that. None of the broccoli and cheese casserole. It's all fine. I'm never upset to eat it, but I always go. I never leave. I know even people who are that way. My wife's that way with dressing. She's like, "Oh, I love dressing."
I was gonna say that's my favorite.
Okay,
Is
so that's
it really?
yours.
Well,
Is
and I'll
it
tell you why.
cornbread?
Well, any kind, really. But we have friends of ours that we spend every other Thanksgiving with, and this year is our year to spend Thanksgiving with these friends. And she cooks a dressing, and she makes it out of this special sausage. My friend Amanda, if you're watching, she's not. But anyway, she grew up in Alabama, and there's this sausage factory it's in Conecuh, Alabama, and they make this sausage. You can get it around here.
So it has roadkill in it since
Pretty
it's
much.
from Alabama.
Pretty much. And it is the best smoked. It's like a smoked sausage. And it is the best smoked sausage I've ever had. But she bakes it into her dressing.
Oh, wow.
It's phenomenal.
Sounds good.
I could just sit and make a meal out of it. So that has become one of my favorite Thanksgiving items. So we're going to have that.
Are there desserts that you eat?
And my mom always would have pumpkin pie, which I'm fine with, but she'd also have egg custard pie. And that's one of my all-time favorites. We don't have that anymore. But
I'm a pecan pie guy.
I like custard pie.
I like pecan pie, but it's not a big deal.
I do too. Honestly, there's not a pie I don't like. A pie over cake generally.
Me too. Pie over
there
cake
are certain
for me too.
Cakes, but pie over cake in general. I think ice cream also goes better with pie than cake.
Of course it does.
Ice cream could go with anything. Dressing, it goes with dressing.
With ice cream and cake, ice cream becomes the feature, and somehow with pie they enhance one another. Well, that was one thing we did by girls when we went on vacation to Myrtle Beach just a couple months ago. I don't know how it came up, but one of them said that they don't like pie. And I said, one, you've never had pie, and two, that's impossible. So we went and bought even just a store-bought pie and bought some ice cream, and we took it down to the beach, and we had ice cream and pie on the beach at sunset, and it was wonderful.
Very cool.
Yeah.
So you had pie and ice cream and sand.
Yeah.
In the pie.
In the pie and the ice cream.
Yeah,
because if you're on the beach, sand's in everything.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
Okay. Well, again, thank you, Michael, and good food, good fuel.
Yes,
Please
very,
go
very,
good
very.
good fuel.
This is good food and good fuel. So, all right, let's get on to the more serious fare. Y'all
Serious.
This was pretty darn serious.
It
huh?
was serious. It's Serious Mac and V. So,
right.
I just had lunch too, so I'm going to stop or I will
Yeah, I need to
overeat.
stop, yeah.
All right. So, reason we're bringing up this question is because Nathan is up this week. He's going to be teaching this week at our experiences online and on site. And he's actually going to be bringing up a question, but you didn't have time to answer it. So
And it's not at the forefront of the message.
No, it's more of a tangent.
Yeah, but we're going to answer it. So if you're here because you already watched, because it's weird, the time thing, but if you've already watched this and you've come here to see this answer, that's where this came from. But so do you want to set this up? You want me to ask it, or you good?
Why don't you just ask it?
Okay, so the question that we're going to tackle is this. And a lot of people ask this question. Does the theory of evolution disprove the biblical account of creation? Because a lot of people, think there's a versus kind of thing. It's you either believe one or the other, but you can't have both.
Yes.
And I guess the quick answer to that, and we'll get into more of this.
Count to three, and then we'll all give the answer.
Yes, 1, 2, 3.
No.
The answer is no. So it doesn't disprove it. But let's talk about why, because a lot of people don't quite understand.
Nor does the reverse history, nor does the biblical account of creation disprove evolution.
Exactly.
Neither one
Absolutely.
is trying to go at the other.
They aren't trying to deal with the same question.
Right.
Yes.
And so I think I'll just say that as somebody who has helped, who has worked in youth ministry primarily, and a big part of I saw my job was once they left youth ministry, being actively involved with college students and people of that. This is one of the number one, what I would call ideological reasons people actually, once again, I'll say people who go to college, this is one of the biggest things that actually makes them turn a little bit from their faith. This, and I'd say maybe what's referred to as like the problem of evil, are the two big things. If you say ideological, there's lots of other reasons that people tend to walk away.
Yeah.
But when it comes down to ideas that conflict in their head, and I think it's because the way it's posited by many Christians and by many people in the science field is that these two things are at odds. That if you're going to believe a scientific account of the creation of the universe, including things like evolution and things of that nature, then you can't believe the Bible because the Bible says that didn't happen. And people who are on the Christian side go, well, you can't believe that theory of how the world came about because the Bible said it didn't happen. The Bible didn't say it didn't happen,
Right.
and that's not even the point of the verses that people are looking at when they talk. And I also think it's important to say when people talk about the biblical account of creation, there's not just one.
That's right. I always ask people, which one are you talking about?
Yes, there are multiple. There are obviously the Genesis account, but even in Genesis, there are two in the first
it
first two
goes
chapters.
back over it again.
Yeah.
Yes,
And it's a little different.
yeah. There's some in Psalms. There's one
Yeah,
in
that's
Job.
right.
There's one. I mean, and it's just several times it's brought up. But every time, I'll say this, and then we can go. Every time it is in what's referred to as poetic form. It's written from the point of very figurative language. It's painting a picture of something, not necessarily a play-by-play scientific description. Doesn't mean that you can't take it as a play-by-play scientific description. The only point is that was not what it was intended to be read as.
And if you do, you do run into some problems. And let's just be honest. I mean, and we were having this discussion as we were setting this up. The truth is, and I hear a lot of Christians, they want to stand on, I take the Bible literally. And they mean, word for word, kind of the description you just said. And I've had this discussion with people. I just believe what Genesis tells me. And I get why they're saying that, but the truth is you don't, because there are always parts of it that even the people that say they take it literally don't take literally. They're still, so my point when I talk to those people is, you already take some of this figuratively.
That's right.
There are just others that take other parts figuratively, right. And so you've picked and choose what you're taking figuratively, and so at least be intellectually honest. You know what I'm saying? You can be a follower of Jesus and be what you would call the young Earth creationists who believe, in the 7-day, 24-hour cycles, or what they call an old Earth creationist, which they take, of course, that word day. There's some debate on how you can interpret
That's right.
that word. And
that's how people get. I'm either a young Earth creationist, which means I believe the whole Earth's less than 10,000 years old, or I'm an old Earth creationist. They're lengthening days at a certain point.
Exactly.
To try to take some scientific evidence that they want to take and put in. It all comes down to they're answering different questions.
Yes.
Science is not trying to answer who, because when it comes down to it, everything goes back to a point, and everybody admits it all started at a point.
Right.
That's the best.
And science has proven that now.
That's right. Right now, that's the best science. And again, there may come something beyond that, because at every point, science is always trying to disprove itself.
Science, by its nature, is evolving on that sense.
That's right. It's constantly looking at everything and saying, is there something beyond that? But right now, they see a singular point that everything started. Well, Christianity says the same thing.
Exactly.
Well, and isn't it interesting that at one point in recent history, in the last 100 years, that idea that many people now get to, and I'll say many Christians are afraid of the term of like Big Bang, that there was an initial event that created the universe, that it originally was actually helpful to believers,
right?
Because it used to be believed in what was referred to as like a static universe, that the universe has just always been.
Right.
That's what many scientists believe. And what I'll say is many non-faith-based science, many people who at that time were saying one of the proofs that there is no biblical account of creation is the universe wasn't created. It's just always been.
And then when they found that and the Big Bang
and they had this idea that the universe is expanding, so that therefore it had a start place, they understood, and the term that came out of that was, if there's a Big Bang, there's a Big Banger. That there's somebody who initiated. But now what has happened, what I find funny is I'll regularly talk with Christians who are what I would say very young Earth creationists that will say, and they use the Big Bang as there is no Big Bang, and I want to say to them, no, the Big Bang helps our biblical account of creation. And so I think all of that confusion, and the reason I bring that up, it's not just a little nuanced point. To me, it shows that it's gone beyond people who have lost the narrative of what we're talking about. It shows we have, in many ways, just turned this into turf wars over, because the Big Bang now, I know many Christians and many people and scientists go, well, you don't believe in the Big Bang. And I go, no, we do, because the nature of that says
We've been saying that for the whole time.
Well, Christians have always said that the universe was created out of nothing. And
Right.
just as you just mentioned, Nathan, just in the last 100 years or so,
Yes.
science has said the universe was created out of nothing.
That's right.
So now where we're at, we're all in agreement on that. It's just what was behind that. A lot of atheists and people who are kind of not warmed up to the idea of God yet would say, well, we just haven't figured out how something comes from nothing.
Yes,
we
what
believe
was
that
the
it
energy
does.
behind that?
That's right. We believe that nothing can create something, which currently, no, we don't know that. We just have to, and as you and I said, that's a faith statement right there.
Yeah.
But Christians all along have said, well, no, there was nothing but God, because God's eternal. God made something out of nothing. And so now anybody who tells you, well, nothing can create something, they're just not just making it up. They're making an assumption.
Well, again, we both tend to creep over into each other's territory, and I have done that in my 40-something years now of being a Christian. I have been at several of these positions along the line, and until finally, as a person who likes to read and study, I began to study and read this stuff in science, and I go, okay, that has everybody who really has looked at it says this is true.
Right.
So now I just look at it and go, oh, they're talking about how this happened. The Bible's only talking about who made it happen.
Yes.
The Bible was
Right.
never trying to answer how, it was answering who. And so I know one of the verses you're going to talk about that a lot of Christians miss out on is that in the New Testament, a lot of people talk, well, God created, God's the creator. Well, the New Testament makes clear Jesus
Right.
is the name of the God who was the creator, which is a problem a lot of Christians don't even realize. That's where you're going to get to this, that Jesus is the author of this. John makes that clear. Paul makes that clear. So they're just even refining who between Old and New Testament
Right.
clearer, but it's still, they're working on the same question of who. So now anytime there's a new scientific discovery, I just go, oh, that's how he did it.
Yeah.
But when a scientist gets back all the way to what they know and they say, okay, this is where we know, and then they begin to say, but there can't be a who, let's just be clear, they have stepped over, like we have stepped into their realm often and said, this is how he did it. They have now stepped into the philosophical end
Right.
and said, there isn't a who. Who is not a scientific answer.
Exactly.
Yes. Well, and I think that's important, and I know there are a lot of great Christian scientists who are working on this. Well, I should say scientists who are Christian, because anyway, there are a lot of scientists who are Christian, like Francis Collins,
Yes.
who we watched a interview with of about a month or so ago, who's the head of the National Institute of Health and worked on the Human Genome Project and all this different kinds of stuff.
And he's on a part of the BioLogos Foundation
Yeah,
as
he
well.
created that.
He created BioLogos.
Which I was going
over
to say.
this specific question.
Yes, I mean, which I was going to say, if you want articles to read about this,
Yeah.
that's where you go. Just look up BioLogos and their website.
And for those of you who are still trying to figure this out and you aren't sure about God and the who question, you should know that Francis Collins was on your side
Right.
as he mapped the human genome. And I mean, I don't know, you may be right there with him scientifically. I am not. He has much more discipline in that area and study than I have. And it was in studying that area that he came to believe there is a who, there is an intelligence behind this. And it's no longer, it's not even intellectually sound for me to say there is no who.
And I think it's important. I think this question is important. That's one thing I end up talking with people about, not just to build up your own faith. I'm not by my nature. I love things we're referred to as apologetics, which is just defensive faith, and so answering kind of questions around those things. By my nature, that's not the number one thing that's interesting to me. I don't think this is just an issue of, well, can I even believe in the Bible? I think there is at its core a story. And I'm going to be talking about this on Sunday. This is central to my sermon on Sunday. But the stories that we end up telling ourselves about the world They form ourselves, and they form what we think is possible. And I think one of the reasons many of us fail to follow everything Jesus commanded is because we are telling ourselves a story that what Jesus commands us to do is impossible for us to do, because we just have poorly formed imaginations. The way our imaginations work is there's a way this world operates, and the people who get ahead have to do certain things to get ahead. You know, we answered a question before that says, isn't there coming a time where good people are going to have to do bad things? Well, that's a story you're telling yourself.
That's right.
You're telling yourself a story that everybody, if they're going to survive, is going to have to do certain kinds of things. And there are exceptions to times where I don't have to be loving or submissive or gentle or kind. And I don't have to do those things at that point because I need to do the bad thing to get. Well, all of that is a story you're telling yourself. And the same is true when it comes to how did the universe come to be? How did human beings come to be? What does God think about our planet? How does he think about our responsibility to care and to love for one another and for our planet and for the creatures on this planet? If the story you tell on either side does not include what is the true, what I would say is the essence behind the biblical account, which is that God created, and as you mentioned, which is true, Jesus is the creative force behind everything in existence. And when he created it, it was good. But also, it wasn't fully complete because he brought humans in to work alongside him and to do things. And so just because it was good didn't mean that it was done, and that he wants us to be active in caring for one another and caring for the planet.
We are a part of the overall plan, and we always were.
We always were, yes. And that when Jesus, and this is where we get to in the Sermon Sunday, when Jesus dies and rises from the dead, he says, I'm bringing a new creation with me, that I'm recreating everything, but not like, as you just said, that was the plan from the beginning. I'm bringing people to do it, but he works through us. And so the story you tell yourself, it affects how you treat people, how you treat our planet, how you treat everything God's created.
Including yourself,
Absolutely.
I would say. I think one of the things that's become evident to me over time is how much lack of purpose people have when they don't tell themselves the right story, that I was created by God on purpose for a purpose.
Yeah.
And that my purpose is determined by him, and he's told us what our purpose is. My purpose is to love people and to love God, and I have to, whatever job I have isn't my purpose.
Right.
Whatever thing I'm good at is not my purpose.
Yeah.
And when I don't tell myself that right story, that in the end, it does impact how I treat myself, how I treat you, how I look at God, how I look at the world. And the closer I can get to telling myself that right story, the more my life is going to be in harmony, and I won't be purposeless like a lot of people. I really just sense, and I talk to people, they don't know what they're trying to do.
Well, and the other part of it is it frees me from one, it gives me a purpose but it puts my purpose in context that I'm not the purpose. And that, because for most of us, I become the purpose. And for many people, that's where a lot of their anxiety comes from. A lot of their depression comes from, because if I'm the purpose and I'm supposed to be the best I can be, it don't take any of us very long to figure out I'm not the best I can be, and I have no plan to become the best. And there are people who are doing better than me. There are people who are succeeding. I feel like a failure. I feel like I'll never catch up because I'm the purpose. And you know, one of the beauties of the biblical account of creation, every time it's repeated, is the reminder that I'm not the purpose of this. That when I was created, I enter into a story that's greater. I talked about last week, I have a prayer meeting every morning, and part of our prayer meeting every morning is I remind me and the people who do it that we begin by reminding ourselves our story is greater than ourselves, and we pray this thing where it's, Lord, let my soul rise to meet you as the day rises to meet the sun, just like it does every day. Whether I'm here or not, the day rises to meet the sun. Glory to the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, as it was in the beginning, is now, and will be forever. This story came before me. I get to participate in it. I have a purpose to participate right now, but it's going on after my time is done, and I get to join in the greater story for eternity. I think that is a beautiful thing. So when we talk about this question, I do think the question matters, but as Ed and Jason have both said too, the how is not as important as the who and the why.
Right. Wow. Who would have thought we'd have gotten into all that out of the evolution question?
There you go.
Well, and as Jason and
stuff.
I were talking about this earlier on a different subject, I always come down with people, what you decide on how. I don't know how you answer that question, how it impacts you loving God and loving people. So whether you're a young earth person or you're a theistic evolution person, wherever you are on the scale, I don't know how practically it impacts that. So make a decision, read, don't get locked in, because if you get too locked in, you will violate the only two commands that that Jesus said mattered. Loving God and loving people.
Keep your eye on the ball. Okay. So today we're going to do something. I think this might be a first for our podcast. We're going to kick to an interview that Nathan just did recently with one of someone who's becoming a great friend to our church. And Ed, I'm going to let you introduce this interview.
Yeah, we want you all to. We're really trying to get people to meet and know Derek Teagle. You know, we started this year talking about racial reconciliation and how to make a difference in that in our community. We can't do everything, but we can do something. And I personally began to pray about God leading me to people that we could begin to partner with in that community. And along the way, God arranged where I would hear from Derek, hear his story. I realized that he and I had a crossing of paths years ago when he was a young man. And so we're beginning to partner with him. Nathan introduced him to both our online and on-site gatherings on Sunday. But just in case you missed that interview, we want to make sure you get to know Derek and his incredible story and how you can begin to partner with him, because we hope this is going to begin a long, fruitful partnership for us in the difference that we can make in Coweta County together in racial reconciliation and in just bringing the kingdom of God to bear in our community. So let's kick to this interview with Derek.
All right. See you guys next week.
I am right now in a Google Meet with a man here in our county, who right here in Coweta County, that is making a Jesus kingdom size difference right here. His name is Derek Teagle. He runs an organization here called Empowered for Life, and it is an awesome organization. But instead of me telling you about it, I want to introduce you to Derek. So Derek, go ahead and say hey to everybody.
Hey, hello, everyone. My name is Derek Teagle, Director of Empowered for Life, a local nonprofit organization that's been established since 2007.
2007. What got you? Tell us a little bit about what kind of inspired you to start Empowered for Life. What really what you do at Empowered for Life.
Basically, what started it, I was doing a group Bible study at Noonan Hospital with some people, and we decided to read the book A Purpose-Driven Life. And after I got finished reading the book, I knew my purpose was to mentor students. So we started out with mentoring 3 students. Crazy long story with that, but basically we started out with 3 students mentoring, and those 3 students went from 3 to 20, word of mouth, add more kids. The next component we did was to start doing physical training with students. So instead of doing mental training, we did physical training with students, and started a thing called a Empowered for Life training session, which basically includes a 2-hour workout. Hour would be devoted to physical training, 30 minutes devoted to mental training, and 30 minutes devoted to spiritual training. And that's where our base for the first year. The second year, we added recruiting of high school athletes to help them get college scholarships. That was year 2. Year 3, we added seminars, and we still do these seminars. We do 4 seminars a year to educate our youth. The 5th year, we added college tours. And based on college tours, that we take 15 college tours per year, where we take kids to different colleges. Some of them are same-day trips. Some of them are 2-day trips. Some of them are weekend trips. So we give them a chance to get outside of their community. The last component that we added 6 years ago was the giving component, where our students give to the community. We give our time, and also we give our resources back to the community. One of the things we're working on right now is a Giving Tuesday campaign. So instead of us receiving funding for Giving Tuesday, we're going to give to a local nonprofit organization called Sleep in Heavenly Peace, where we're fundraising currently right now to give money to them to help build beds. Not only are we only going to give money to them, we're going to help build the beds and deliver the beds to students in Coyote County.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And for those of you here who are joining in you're a longtime community Christian people, this is right at the heart of really who we are as a church, is trying to empower. And I love that's right in the name of the organization, empower students and people to live the kind of lives that God intended them to live. And I know you're doing that right here in Coweta County and in communities here that desperately need it. And Derek, has it been your experience for many of the students that you're mentoring that this has been a life-changing, like an eye-opening kind of experience for them as well?
Yes, because we don't care where you come from. We don't care your religious affiliation, political affiliations. We don't care whether you're from the hood. We don't care if you're from the suburbs. Our good thing is that we can help maximize gifts through the Word of God, but also we run a no excuse organization, so everyone in our organization is treated the same, and I mean it. I don't care if you're a star athlete. I don't care if you're just a student that love to read. Our goal is to help maximize the gifts of our students. So some of our kids are athletes, some of our kids are not athletes. But our goal is to find what your gifts are and help you maximize those gifts. One of the great things about our organization is that we got 30 students that went through the organization. They are 30 and under. They are currently business owners in our community. The reason why I like to share that story is that we maximize the gifts. So whatever your gifts are, a lot of the world want to focus on your flaws, which we all have flaws. Our goal is to focus on your gifts. And once we focus on your gift, now we can talk about those flaws. But our main focus is on your gifts first. We're not going to be part of the world where we focus on your flaws or your mistakes or things you did in the past. Because one thing about me, I've done it all in the past. I was sharing it with a group of kids yesterday in Manchester, Georgia. The only thing I probably haven't done in my life was cocaine. Everything else I probably have done. But that's my past. I'm not currently smoking weed. I'm not currently drinking. I'm not currently cheating on my taxes. I'm not currently, but I just do all of those things, so I have a past. Also, I have a present. And one thing I tell our kids is that as long as I'm trending in the right direction, there's an expectation I have for you guys to trend in the right direction, not the wrong direction.
I love that. And so Derek's going to tell you in just a moment here about an opportunity you have to make a difference as well. Like many of you know, or if you're brand new to our church, you may not know, we believe that life is best lived under Jesus' central command, which is to love everyone always. And what's a better way to get to love students here in our community than to get to be a part of helping to mentor them and to coach them and to get to just come alongside them. And like Derek just said so great, which is, man, that's the heart of our church right here is, hey, everyone's got a past, but God has a future for you. God has a plan for your life. And so what a better way to say that to people than for you to get to be involved. So, Derek, I know that you've got an opportunity for people in our church to get to volunteer with you guys and get to help. So tell us a little bit about this opportunity you have for our church.
I will, but before I get to that, one of the things that I love about your church, even before I entered, was the sign outside where it says "No perfect people allowed." I love that sign because that's definitely a direct of who I am. God knows I'm not perfect. God knows I'm not. But to understand that, yes, quote unquote, we do have a past, but we still can grow from our past. And so I love your sign on your shirt that says "No perfect people allowed," because I felt good coming in there, knowing that it's not perfection is expected. But we'll say this: what we're doing right now, be part of a 4-part seminar series that we're doing called Connecting the Dots. And what we Connecting the Dots is talking about race relations, as well as talking about law enforcement officers. How can we be friends? How can we have really good dialogue with our law enforcement officers? Because I never want to live in a world, including my own community, where people are not respecting law enforcement officers, but also that I can live without law enforcement officers. We need them. One thing I would share with that is that many years ago, I did not respect law enforcement officers. And what has happened is over the time that I got with the city of Newnan, I got with the Coyote County Sheriff Department, and we had developed a relationship that now is so strong that we can have true dialogue. That don't mean we always going to agree, but true dialogues between each other. So we branch off on connecting the dots and do a thing called connecting the community. And what this is that for middle school and high schoolers, we're going to have middle school and high school kids come out every Saturday for 5 Saturdays. And we're going to play basketball. So for 5 Saturdays, we're going to play basketball. We're going to split them on teams. And we're asking for people to be volunteer coaches, volunteer referees, and also volunteer servers. Servers include serving meals to kids once we're done playing basketball. But if you're a coach, not only do you get a chance to coach the kid, you get a chance to, once you're not coaching, to hang out and talk to the kids while you're not coaching. Following that, we go into the lobby and we eat lunch together. Also, opportunity for you to hang out with the students. And the reason why it's so important is the fact that they will see you differently, not just a county commissioner or a mayor or a leader in the community. They look at like, well, this is my friend, this is my coach. And the whole key to all of that, they have an open dialogue for maybe one day when there is a crime in a community, you'll be able to tell your coach, but it might be a sheriff officer, that this is what happened. So it's really good dialogue. It helped me in my life because, like I said, I went from a point where I really didn't believe in law enforcement officers, I didn't trust them, to a point now that I really do trust them. But that happens over the years of this dialogue. So 5 weeks of us getting closer to each other, 5 weeks of us learning more about each other on all phases of our lives. Good chance for us to plant some seeds that might be seeds that we might need to look at later on in life as we got closer together. So it has worked in my life. I truly believe that it will work in students' lives. 7 years ago, when I met Officer Meadows, the Chief of Police in Noonan, I told him that every event that I do, every practice that I do, every seminar that I do, every session that I have, I want law enforcement officers involved. At first, the students are like, oh my God, why are the police officers here? Now they hang out together, they talk together, they see each other, they wave, they hug each other. And I've seen it happen in my group of kids. If it happened with them, it can happen with other kids. So that's what we want to do. We want to expand what we already started. We want to expand the foundation we started for more kids in our community to know that law enforcement officers, for the most part, really, really want to help you. Of course, in every profession, preachers, law enforcement officers, whatever it is, you're going to have some bad seeds. We know that. But we want to keep the dialogue going that we really need them. They really need us. And at the end of the day, they can go home safely and our students can go home safely as well.
How wonderful is that? And for our church to be able to get to partner with that is wonderful. If you were tuning in last week with us, we continued this talk of just Jesus, in central to his work on the cross was not just our personal forgiveness, but this reconciling work that Jesus was doing to bring the systems of our world under the rule of the kingdom of God and to unite peoples in our world. And a few months ago, we started talking about the importance of racial justice and racial reconciliation in our world and how core that is to what Jesus is doing. And all of this that Derek's talking about, man, that just fits right in the middle of what we as a church want to do. And if you remember last week, you were challenged. What are you going to do about this? Not what just are we as a church going to give money to, or what are we just going to go do collectively as a church, but what could you do? Here is an opportunity for you to do that. You could be a coach. You could be a referee. You could be someone who serves a meal and just hangs out with students and loves them and says, hey, I notice you. I care about you. I want to be involved in your life. And what a difference Derek and Empowered for Life is making. What a difference you could make. So here's the deal. If you want to be involved with this, you're sold on it, and you're like, Nathan, shut up because I want to do something about it. Let me tell you what you do. I'm right now on the screen, you'll see Derek's phone number right there. You can text Derek right now and tell him, hey, I go to Community Christian and I want to help. And Derek will get in touch with you and help you figure out what is your next step to helping out with his ministry there. Derek, I got to tell you, man, we are so thankful as a church for your willingness to partner with us in this, and just for all that you're doing for the kingdom and for these young men and women here in Coweta County. What a blessing you are, man.
Thank you.
Absolutely.